What happens when the girl no one expects becomes the name no one forgets? She didn't come from a prep school. She didn't wear designer shoes or drop names at cocktail mixers. She came with a second-hand blazer, a notebook full of fire, and a voice no one could silence. This is the story of Arielle Monroe, a 17-year-old from Baton Rouge who walked into Yale's most elite debate competition and exposed a system rigged against her from the inside. Sabotage? She faced it. Humiliation? She stood through it. Victory? Well, you'll want to see how that part ends. When Arielle Monroe stepped into Yale's debate invitational, she wasn't looking to be noticed. But the moment she crossed the threshold of that grand lecture hall, all eyes found her anyway. Not with admiration, with suspicion. Her second-hand blazer didn't match the tailored navy of her competitors. Her sneakers had creases. Her southern accent clung to every syllable. And worst of all, she stood alone. From across the room came a mocking voice. "Is this open mic night?" The room laughed. It was Julian Whitmore IV, Yale's golden boy, the one they said was born in a tuxedo. His gaze never left her. The message was clear. You don't belong here. But Arielle didn't flinch. She had prepared her whole life for this, just not the way they had. Her debate journal was full of handwritten notes scribbled with her mom after long diner shifts. Her education wasn't polished. It was earned, line by line, late night by late night. As names were called and resumes exchanged, Arielle stood quietly near the window. No one asked her to join a group. No one saw her as a threat. Not yet. But when the debate topic was announced, should socioeconomic background be minimized in university admissions? She smiled faintly. Because while they had studied the theory, Arielle had lived the argument. And when it was her turn to speak, she wasn't just going to answer the question. She was going to be the answer. The next morning, the sun barely touched the edges of the Gothic windows as students filed into the main debate hall. Polished shoes echoed across marble floors. Confidence floated in the air like expensive cologne. Arielle sat quietly in the last row, scanning her speech notes for the 100th time. Her hands were steady, but her stomach told another story. She was listed last on the roster, the slot reserved for nice tries. And first up, Julian Whitmore. He strutted to the podium like he owned the building. His delivery was slick, his stats memorized, his tone rehearsed to perfection. The crowd loved him. Professors nodded, cameras clicked. It was everything you'd expect from Yale's favorite. Then came silence, a pause, and the moderator's voice. Next speaker, Arielle Monroe, Baton Rouge Southeast Regional. She stood. No music, no applause, just chairs creaking as heads turned. Some faces held polite curiosity. Others smirked. A few whispered. She stepped to the podium, opened her notebook, and took a breath. "Before I begin," she said, her voice calm, "I want to thank Yale for this invitation, even if some believe I shouldn't be here." That line stopped the room cold. Then she began. Not with numbers, but with experience. She talked about the schools in her neighborhood, where students shared textbooks and ceiling fans barely worked. She quoted court rulings, systemic gaps, and quietly, powerfully, spoke of earning her spot without privilege or legacy. She closed with this: minimizing background isn't fairness. It's erasure. I'm not asking for charity. I'm proving I belong. When she stepped down, the silence lingered. Then came the first real applause. And just like that, they started listening. The preliminary scores were posted that afternoon. Arielle stood at the edge of the announcement board, heart hammering. 16 names would advance. Most of the top slots were predictable. She found hers, rank 12, just above the cutoff. She exhaled, part relief, part disbelief. She hadn't won over everyone, but she hadn't been dismissed either. As she turned, a familiar voice snaked through the crowd. "Well, miracles do happen," Julian sneered, grinning beside two of his debate circle friends. Ariel ignored him. She knew better now. That night, in her tiny assigned dorm, she opened her email to review the topic for round 2. But instead, a new message popped up. Subject: revised topic. Urgent. It looked official. New topic. Resolved: the American education system rewards conformity over creativity. The panic hit instantly. No one else mentioned a topic change. No announcement. Still, she couldn't risk being unprepared. So she started over. From scratch. 10 hours of research, outlining, pacing the floor. By 2 a.m., her eyes burned. But she had a speech. What she didn't know was that the email was fake. The next morning, Professor Grant stopped her at the door. "Ms. Monroe, where were you? The topic hasn't changed." Ariel showed her the email. Grant's face darkened. "This isn't from us." Ariel's stomach sank. Across the hall, Julian leaned casually against the wall, mouthing one word: "Oops." Her hands shook. No prep, no notes. But her mother's voice rose in her mind. "You didn't come this far to fold now." With trembling hands, Ariel grabbed a blank notepad and started scribbling. If they were going to sabotage her, she would still make them listen. With just minutes left, Ariel scrawled bullet points on hotel notepaper. The topic? Technology has eroded authentic human communication. Not what she'd prepped. Not even close. But when her name was called, she stood. Not polished, not ready, but unwilling to quit. Her first few sentences trembled. Then, she found her rhythm. She didn't quote think tanks or research centers. She spoke from life. She talked about group chats replacing real conversations, about how her best friend drifted away behind a glowing phone screen. She spoke of school halls filled with noise but no connection, about her little brother, barely 8, addicted to screens by bedtime. And then she paused, looked the audience straight in the eye. Technology didn't destroy our ability to communicate. It distracted us from listening. It wasn't her strongest argument, but it was her most human. When she finished, no one clapped right away. They were too busy staring, processing. Then, the applause came. Not thunderous, but thoughtful, earned. Julian's smirk had faded. And Professor Grant? For the first time, she didn't just look. She watched. Later that night, Ariel sat on the steps outside the dorm. The cool air bit at her skin, but her mind was spinning faster than ever. She checked the results. Rank 5. Semifinals. Her hands trembled again, not from fear, this time from adrenaline. She had survived a trap, turned sabotage into strength, and risen again. Inside, Julian fumed with his friends, whispering about what went wrong. Outside, Ariel looked at the sky, wide, cold, open. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was climbing. The day of the final round dawned heavy with tension. Sanders Auditorium buzzed with reporters, professors, and students filling every seat. This wasn't just another debate. It was a spectacle now. On stage, Julian Whitmore, Yale's legacy star, and opposite him, Ariel Monroe, the girl they all doubted. Until now. The final resolution glowed on the projector. Traditional institutions are the best guardians of academic integrity. Julian went first. He was flawless. Again. His tone, practiced. His citations, endless. He painted a picture of noble universities and systems that protected truth. But as he finished, the applause felt lighter than before. Then Ariel stepped up. No blazer this time, just her voice, and the weight of everything she had lived through. Integrity isn't preserved by marble walls or polished legacies, she said. It's preserved by people who fight to be heard inside of them. She spoke of the fake email, of the system that didn't protect her, but tested her. She didn't name Julian, but she didn't need to. The room understood. And when she closed, it wasn't with anger, it was hope. If institutions want to claim they protect truth, then they have to start by letting all of us speak it. Silence. Then, a rising wave of applause, louder than ever. Later, backstage, both waited in stillness. Then came the announcement. The winner of the 2025 Yale Invitational is Ariel Monroe. She didn't cry. She didn't cheer. She just stood, head high. Because this time, they didn't just listen. They chose her. And as she stepped into the lights, her phone buzzed. A text from home. "Told you, baby, you never needed permission to shine."